My life went up in flames literally when I stepped into the backyard and saw my clothes burning. The acrid stench of melted polyester and scorched dreams hit me like a slap, and there was Mom standing by the trash bin poker-faced, as if torching my wardrobe was just Tuesday's chore. I'd been gone for 3 years, chasing a life that didn't fit in the small, suffocating town of Willow Creek. I left at 19, suitcase packed with ambition and a one-way bus ticket to Chicago. I wanted to be a photographer, to capture the world's raw edges, not to stay trapped in a place where dreams went to die. Mom called it running away. I called it survival. The backyard was a crime scene. The rusted trash bin glowed orange, flames licking at the remnants of my favorite denim jacket, the one I'd worn to my first gallery show. My vintage band tees, my thrifted dresses, each piece a chapter of my life were curling into ash. I stood there, backpack slipping off my shoulder, my heart pounding like a war drum. What did you do?" I whispered, my voice barely audible over the crackle of the fire. Mom turned, her graying hair pulled tight in a bun, her eyes sharp as broken glass. "You think you can waltz back here after abandoning us? Acting like you're too good for this family?" Her voice was a blade, each word slicing deeper. "Those clothes? They were a disgrace. Just like your choices." I wanted to scream. I wanted to shove her, to douse the fire, to salvage anything from the wreckage. But I was paralyzed, caught between fury and a sickening sense of guilt. This was Mom, the woman who'd raised me, who'd worked double shifts at the diner to keep us afloat after Dad left. How had we become enemies? 3 years ago, I'd left without a proper goodbye. I'd sent postcards, sure, but they were vague, filled with safe phrases like, "I'm doing okay," and "Chicago's amazing." I didn't tell her about the nights I slept on a friend's couch, or the rejections from galleries, or the time I almost gave up. I didn't tell her I missed her, because admitting that felt like betraying the person I was trying to become. Now, standing in the backyard, I realized she'd been burning more than my clothes. She was burning Meher, disappointment, her anger, her version of who I should be. "You owe me an apology," she said, stepping closer, her voice low and venomous. "For leaving. For shaming this family. For thinking you're better than us." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that surprised even me. "An apology? You set my life on fire, and I'm the one who's sorry." My voice cracked, but I didn't care. The heat from the bin was nothing compared to the rage boiling inside me. She didn't flinch. "You left us, Clara. You left me. Do you know what it's like to hear your daughter's name whispered in town like it's a curse? Oh, Clara ran off to the city. Thinks she's too good for Willow Creek. I defended you. I lied for you. And you didn't even call." Her words hit harder than the sight of the fire. I'd always thought my leaving was about Mimi dreams, my freedom. I hadn't considered what it cost her. The town was small, its gossip vicious. Mom had always been proud, the kind of woman who'd rather starve than ask for help. My absence had made her a target. But I wasn't ready to surrender. "You didn't burn my clothes because of gossip, Mom. You did it to hurt me. To control me. You can't stand that I'm not your little girl anymore." Her face twisted, a flash of pain crossing her features before hardening again. "You're still my daughter. And you will respect me." Respect. The word felt like a chain. I dropped my backpack and stepped toward the fire, the heat stinging my face. I grabbed a stick from the ground and poked at the embers, hoping to find something salvageable. A scrap of my denim jacket surfaced, blackened but intact. I pulled it out, the fabric hot against my palms. "Clara, stop it!" Mom shouted, grabbing my arm. Her grip was fierce, but her eyes were wet. For the first time, I saw something break in her, something raw and human. I yanked my arm free. "Why, Mom? Why can't you let me be me?" The question hung between us, heavier than the smoke. She didn't answer, just stared at the fire, her shoulders sagging. I realized then that this wasn't just about me leaving. It was about everything we'd never said about Dad walking out when I was 10, about the bills piling up, about the dreams she'd buried to raise me. I dropped the stick and sank to the ground, the grass cool against my knees. "I didn't leave to hurt you," I said, my voice softer now. "I left because I was drowning here. I needed to find out who I was." She didn't look at me. "And who are you, Clara? Some city girl who doesn't need her family." "No," I said, swallowing hard. "I'm still your daughter. But I'm also me. And I'm not sorry for that." The fire was dying now, The flames reduced to glowing embers. We stood in silence, the distance between us wider than the 3 years I'd been gone. I thought about the photos I'd taken in Chicago, gritty street scenes, faces full of stories, moments of beauty and chaos. I'd found my voice through my camera, but I'd lost my connection to her. "I kept your room the same," she said suddenly, her voice barely a whisper. "I thought you'd come back. That you'd see this was home." I really looked at her for the first time in years. The lines on her face were deeper, her hands rougher. She wasn't just my mom, she was a woman who'd fought battles I'd never fully understood. "I'm here now," I said. "But I can't be who I was. And you can't burn away who I've become." She turned away, her shoulders trembling. I wanted to reach out, to hug her like I used to when I was little, but the ashes between us felt like a wall. Instead, I picked up my backpack and walked toward the house. The back door creaked as I opened it, the familiar sound pulling me back to childhood. Inside, the kitchen smelled of coffee and regret. I sat at the table, staring at the chipped mugs we'd used for years. Mom didn't follow me in. I heard the faint clatter of her cleaning up the backyard, probably dousing the last of the fire. I wondered if she was crying, or if she was too proud for that. The next morning, I found a note on the counter. "I'm sorry about the clothes. I didn't know how else to make you stay." It wasn't signed, but it didn't need to be. I folded it carefully, tucking it into my pocket like a fragile truce. Over the next few days, we tiptoed around each other. I helped her with chores, she asked about Chicago. We didn't talk about the fire, but it lingered in every glance, every pause. I showed her my photos one night, projecting them onto the living room wall. She didn't say much, but she lingered on a shot of a mother and daughter laughing in a park, their faces bright with love. "That's what I wanted for us," she said, her voice thick. "It still can be," I replied, though I wasn't sure if I believed it. I stayed in Willow Creek for a month, longer than I'd planned. I didn't apologize, and neither did she, not fully. But we rebuilt something piece by piece. I helped her repaint the porch, and she let me hang one of my photos in the living room. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. When I left again, I promised to call. And I did. Every Sunday we'd talk, awkward at first, then easier. I sent her a new jacket, not to replace the one she'd burned, but to show her I wasn't letting go. She sent me a scarf she'd knitted, lumpy and imperfect but warm. Family isn't about erasing the past or pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's about finding a way to keep going, even when the ashes are still warm. I don't know if Mom and I will ever fully understand each other, but we're trying. And maybe that's enough. What do you think? Was Mom right to demand an apology, or was Clara justified in standing her ground? Share your thoughts on family, forgiveness, and the cost of chasing dreams.